Hello YouTubers, Joe Kersey here on not September 9th, good Lord, November 9th, 2016 at about a little after 3 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Now I was watching, let's phrase it this way, a very major sort of commercial grade YouTuber here earlier this afternoon. And he, as a lot of people are doing today, mentioned the results of the election. And he happened to be on an airplane flying between New York and it's either San Francisco or Los Angeles, as he tends to do fairly frequently. And he was talking about how did he phrase it? He says something about how we can start to get along with the people. We can start to get along with all the people in this country. He said, "This country." He used the phrase "this country," and then he corrected himself and he pointed his finger out the window, airplane window, and he said, "That country." Now, I may be just sort of hypersensitive to some of this kind of stuff, but I have a feeling that, unconsciously, this may have been one of those Freudian unconscious type slips, that when he said this country, he meant the people he ran with in New York City and on the West Coast. And then when he corrected himself and pointed down and said that country, it's what the left-wing East or West Coast people often refer to as flyover country. Well, indeed, he was flying over that country. So I got a bit of a kick out of that. Probably meant nothing, but there's a lot of stuff that happens unconsciously and comes out. Now, on a more serious note, I guess that's actually a pretty damn serious note. There was a woman I watched. She's her channel name is Dawn Rambles, and she's out of Maryland, and she was mentioning. As an aside, just something she had read in the news, that she had noticed that the police officers in Baltimore, well actually not the police officers, but the school officials in Baltimore are stocking Narcan. Its real name is Naloxone, which is an opioid antagonist, meaning if you have a large amount of narcotic on board in your system, you can reverse the effect of that narcotic by giving them Naloxone or Narcan. Typically, it's not typically, it is an intravenous drug. Which you can also be given intramuscularly. There's a very long-acting oral form of it called Naloxone, which has been used or experimented with in terms of appetite suppressant and keeping people withdrawn from drugs, etc. But this is Narcan. This is the stuff you give in an acute overdose situation. And of course, the squads have been carrying this stuff for probably 3 or 4 years now, if not longer. But I guess it's the school officials now are stocking it, so that if they find some student overdose, they can whack in a little Narcan on him and try to save his life. I want to describe the first time I saw this drug used. This was back in the middle 1980s. When the drug first came out, when Naloxone first came out, and we were stocking in the OR. And of course, you know, when you use a primary intravenous anesthetic technique as opposed to a primary inhalation agent technique, you use fairly high dose narcotics. I mean, very high dose narcotics. And you try to sort of get a sense of when the case is going to end so that it just kind of wears off as the patient's emerging from anesthesia. But sometimes, you know, it just doesn't happen, and which is no big deal, you know. When you have this drug, give them a little Narcan. I would call it a Narcan kiss, because it really doesn't take more than 0.05 milligrams. It comes in an ampule of 0.4 milligrams. I mean 0.4 milligrams. So I mean, it rarely took more than 0.1 milligram to get somebody, you know, breathing spontaneously again, and if not waking up. But you know, the goal is to have them wake up without reversing the analgesic effect. You want to reverse the respiratory depressant effect without reversing the analgesic effect. And so, hang on. I mean, so the goal is to reverse the respiratory depression without reversing the analgesia. And you know, again, like I say, rarely takes more than, you know. Now, admittedly, this is a fairly short half-life drug. You know, if you've really misjudged the amount of narcotic you've used on a patient, or sometimes when you deliberately have just used more than what would have been strictly speaking needed because of other considerations in the case, like you thought the case was going to last 8 hours and it lasted only 4 hours. You have to be aware and redose them every half hour or so till, you know, you're out of the woods on that. And you know, and a good recovery room will keep you up to speed on all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, that was what we learned slightly later. But the very first day I saw this drug used, God bless Merle Welch. I can talk about him. He's dead. He was a magnificent individual. Basically saved my life. He says, "Let's just try this new drug." So, okay. And so he goes into recovery room where, and this was at Ohio State University Hospital when I was a resident, and in training, and he no, this was in Grant. This was a Grant Hospital, I think. Yeah, it might have been at Ohio State. Doesn't matter, because anyway, we went in and somebody needed to, you know, you wanted to try to get him off the ventilator, you know, so. So Merle goes in. He says, "Well, it comes as a 4/10 of a milligram ampule." He just gives him the whole. He just shoves in the whole thing. This guy sat up in bed, yanked out his tube, and went, "Ah!" Because, you know, his analgesia had been completely reversed, you know, instantaneously. Boom. So, it dawned on me, you know, you don't want to give this, you want to sort of squirt this in bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, you know, until you see what you want to have happening. Which is not usually how you give drugs. You usually decide what you need and just give it. But this one you do want to sort of, now in an overt, you know, heroin overdose situation, you just give that amount. Boom. You know. That was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen happen. when I was working. I don't think Merle ever gave it that way again either. So on that note, I'm going to say bye-bye, YouTube.